This is a rare chance now then that we have to come and visit here, because we live very far away, the other side of the world, but we do live on the same world. We're on the same planet, we just live in a totally different part of it. And although we're, in one sense, very, very separate, the way that we all live, the important things in life for people all over the world are all the same. Because wherever we live, we all need the same basic requisites in order to sustain our life. The first and principal requisite or cause and condition in life is food. We have clothing as a secondary one. We all need houses as well to support us or to protect us. So wherever we come from, we all need basic requisites for life. And this is an important principle of Dhamma that the Buddha gave great emphasis to. We call this the four requisites. That's including medicines as well as the fourth. And in Sangha life, monastic life, we give this great importance, a wise reflection on use of the four requisites. Sometimes they're also called the four nissaya. Nissaya means like dependence. So the four things that we're dependent on. And these are the things which our lives are very bound up with. So it's important then to relate correctly to requisites or resources in the world in such a way as it doesn't lead to their disappearance. These days there's much talk about global warming, rising temperatures, and this is very much bound up with how people live our lives. And if we don't give the correct due importance to the environment, now we're seeing the results of that. There's much concern. People are really getting all agitated and worried because there's concerns that we might become extinct, because as humans we need an appropriate or suitable environment. So however we live, we have to maintain a balanced environment. This is regarding the external world, but it's the same principles bound up with our internal world, the world of beings. There's a phrase, beings in the world. The meaning of this phrase, beings in the world, or worldly animals in the world, this is something that, this is a word we use. This is a word that society uses as a convention to refer to consumers. You can divide the world up into two areas, that area which produces and the area which consumes. The production side is very limited. There's only a limited amount of available resources. But the consumers have spread out and expanded. The population has increased over time. But if we spread out and increase too much, then it becomes unsustainable. So we have to find ways then so that as consumers we can live in a sustainable way. That's the external part of life, which is important. The internal side is what we call practice. We have to practice in a way which is appropriate and beneficial. There are certain principles which the Buddha called appannaka. This means incontrovertible or always correct, the correct way to approach life in every situation. And these are the general principles we have in our Dhamma practice, which don't lead us to our decline and to problems in life. And the Buddha gave these principles great importance, and he used the metaphor of food. The first important principle that's always correct, this word appannaka, is bhojane matanyuta. It's translated as moderation in eating, or moderation. Bhojana also means consumption, so moderate in our consumption of things. Has the connotations of food, but it means in all ways. And so we have to learn how to relate to our body, and we see that and understand the cycle of life. We see that even as the body grows and develops, this very growth and develop is bound up and is part of the process of decline. In time, as we grow and develop, we're also declining. So this is the nature of the cycle of life. This is our, we'll use the word programs. This is our program, our time frame. And so when we learn to live in line with nature, then there's freedom from danger. So the Buddha said to know moderation is the first way to lead it's the first principle that leads away from danger. And so that's with regard to the external world, and it's the same with the mind. The mind is this very important aspect of our life. Life has great value, and our role is to understand the value of life and to see that we can develop a life of incomparable benefit and value. And so this internal aspect is what the Buddha and the what we call the Kruba Ajahn, the enlightened masters, they gave great importance to. You could call it giving importance to our mental health or our inner well-being or mental wellness. And this is what we have the ability to work on and improve and develop in ourselves. You could compare it to the natural resources in the world. We're able to harvest or mine or make use of the world's natural resources and adapt them, modify them, and turn them into things which are of use. So it's the same with the mind. The mind has those aspects of it which are positive and negative, and we have to learn how to relate to it properly and develop the mind so as to be of benefit. The mind could be compared to an atmosphere. The Earth has an Earth's atmosphere which is very close to the Earth's surface. If you go up into the sky just as little as 30 kilometers, then the Earth's atmosphere disappears. So you could call our mind our mental atmosphere that's all around us, very close to us all the time. And in this mental atmosphere, sukha, happiness, or dukkha, suffering, arise. Sometimes we get happy and delighted with the things we get. Sometimes we get negative and depressed when we're separated from the things we like. So we have to learn how to improve and develop ourselves in a way which is of benefit. So to bring light into our lives, like sunlight, which is bright light, and when sunlight shines on things, it gives them benefit. So the Buddha himself used this simile of light. He said that there's no light as bright as the light of wisdom. And what bright light means in our lives, to bring the light of wisdom into our lives, means to cultivate sati, mindfulness, and sampajanya, clear comprehension. Clearly comprehending, being very aware with regard how to relate properly to the environment and society around us, to live in a very circumspect manner, not just following our moods and desires, for example, delight and aversion. Just like somebody who lives here in this town, or the owner of the house, if it's an abbot, if it's a monastery, we call him the abbot. But if it's here, it's a house, we say the owner of the house has to know the local conditions, the local weather conditions, and the local atmosphere. In order to live well in that place. Similarly, we have to come to know our own internal conditions. We call these our moods, our thoughts, our ramana. If they're wholesome moods or wholesome thoughts, then it's appropriate to act based on them. If, however, they are not beneficial or what we call dangerous, i.e. they lead away from peace of mind and away from happiness, then we have to stop. So the summary of this teaching is the Buddha's teaching: abandon evil and do that which is good. Just like at night time. At night time, when it's night, it's dark. It's not appropriate to wander around doing things, working, finding things, looking for things. So night time is the time to stop. If we have sati panya, mindfulness and wisdom, and that will give rise to a wholesome pride, well-being, and we won't fall under the sway of deception and illusion. Our lives will be bright. We will be like fully mature human beings, adult-like, and we'll have awareness, awakening. So this is a very important aspect of how we live our life. The Buddha always emphasized wisdom or intelligence. So we all have concerns in life, and this is because of our attachments and the involvement we have with the world. And so we have to learn how to relate properly to the world and relate properly to the work we do. So there's a an expression in Thai, like a saying, which again I'll try to translate. I can't quite catch it in English. It goes, if you love yourself, then you have to know how to work, and for your life to be long, and for life to be long will depend on how safely you work, or how safely you lead your life. Something like that. How safely you carry out your life's work. Live a life of safety. So, carrying on at the end, Luang Por just given this Thai saying where our life and the length of our life and our well-being depends on how safely we work, we do our life's work. So, carrying on this theme. Work, which leads to safety, is a life which is free from danger. This doesn't refer to external dangers. This refers to the danger of what's called miccha ditthi, or wrong views, wrong thinking, wrong understanding. Wrong understanding is comparable to darkness. Darkness is not suitable for any kind of activity. So what is this internal danger? What is this wrong understanding? This arises in the mind. It's one aspect of what we call the nama dhammas, the aspect of mentality, our minds. You could call it feelings. We sometimes experience these hot, agitated feelings. Anger, not being happy, being dissatisfied. These arise from the mind which is unwholesome or defiled. It's a negative mind, and as a result there's no coolness. It leads to dukkha, suffering. The danger of desire or greed is a danger that there's no end to. The danger of lobha, greed. You could compare this to the waters, all the water in the nearby oceans. The oceans have water, and the water in the oceans flow in to the oceans from all directions, from rivers all over the world. But the oceans can always hold and sustain it. It never runs out anywhere else. Greed is the same as the world. It's always there, and there's no end to it. And it's as if the oceans are dammed up, and so the water always stays there. And so greed is the same. Greed and desire is the same. It's endless. It's unlimited. You can never end it. So there's physical desire. For example, we come here and we feed our bodies. We have a certain desire for food, but that's limited in this aspect. The mental desire, the mind's wishes, are boundless, and so it's very dangerous. Lobho dhammanang paribanto could be translated as greed is a great danger in the world. Greed is a dhamma, a state which binds us up, which ties us up. It destroys everything. Based on greed, all kinds of arguments and fighting arise in the world. Relatives fight with relatives, friends fight with friends, people who once loved one another, friends who once supported one another, give way to arguing and fighting based on greed. And this is the internal heat. There's no physical heat, but it leads to great discomfort. Avijja means ignorance, and this is something which affects the way we lead it affects every aspect of our lives in every way. So these are fires, greed and ignorance. These are fires, greed, anger and delusion, that we have to find ways to put out. And our teachers, the Buddha, have always emphasized the fact that there's no other way other than this Dhamma practice. And the way is to no longer feed these fires, no longer to add fuel to the fires. When you don't add fuel to a fire, it finally goes out. And after it's gone out in time, it becomes cool. It runs out of heat. We will put out our inner heat, and our intoxication and infatuation will fade away. And rather than being hot and aflame, then our lives will be cool and peaceful. So this is the work we have to do. It's called kammatthana. This is the work which leads to the fading of desire. Just like this building, this room here is used for kammatthana, the work of Dhamma practice. And it's very useful as well because it's of help to people who are dying, for example. This kammatthana helps cool their minds so that they're not distressed as they're in the later stage of their lives. The Buddha taught us the ways of the various methods of kammatthana that the Buddha taught are skillful means of fading, to give rise to the fading of desire. For example, the Buddha taught, and I don't know if this is true, you have to see for yourselves, the Buddha taught that this body is intrinsically impure. Just observe it like this. You have to spend so much time and effort bathing and cleaning and beautifying the body. Why is that? It's because intrinsically it's not clean. So in time, we learn to contemplate like this. We see that it's intrinsically not clean. Our body, our lives are impermanent. They're unstable. All that we experience is nothing other than nature simply doing its job in line with causes and conditions. This body, which is the physical aspect of our lives, is just raw material. Just like the food we have, it's just nothing other than all the various ingredients that we can gather and put together and cooked in various different ways. So when we see it like that, then we abandon this sense of great importance and essence that we give it, which takes us onto the wrong path. We're able to eliminate this intoxication and infatuation, to abandon dukkha, suffering, the dukkha of desire. We abandon the thought, us and ours, me and mine. Just like owning this house, conventionally speaking, we can speak of being a homeowner, we can even have documents to prove it, but really we're just borrowing it for a while. When our program ends, when our sankharas, the mind and body break up, we have to let go of the house. So we have to abandon it. We have to abandon those moods of desire. We have to establish a mind of letting go, which leads to the peace of mind. So all of these kammatthanas, these meditation practices and Dhamma practices, are upayas, skillful means to bring about a peaceful mind. And they're all ways of reminding us to turn to those things which point out the truth of nature, that we have old age, sickness, and death as our natural as our nature. And in time, we'll see the truth of our lives. And when we see this truth, we become peaceful. We have a body, but we'll be aloof or at peace with the body. We call this gaya vivek, secluded from the body. We have a mind, a citta, but we can develop citta viveka, aloofness or seclusion of the mind, so that no wholesome or unwholesome states are arising anymore based on our mental proliferations. Just like light, when a light grows brighter and brighter, then nothing is obscured or hidden. So this practice brings light into the lives of those of us who see the danger in the samsaric round. So today I've been able to come here, travel to America and come here to visit you because my sankharas, my mind and body, are still allow me to do so, to come here and hopefully be of benefit, communal benefit. I would like to express my anumodana, means my joy and appreciation for all for the reception and all the comforts that have been afforded to us. It's a true expression of namjai. It means that it's the water of the heart, our hearts flowing out to one another. Anything that's wholesome or of true worth and value in our lives, the way to cultivate richness of life, comes from developing the parami, the spiritual faculties or spiritual qualities, based on sati, mindfulness, and panya, wisdom. The Buddha said, being a human being, a manussa, this is a truly wonderful opportunity. This is a truly high state to be born in. So again, my anumodana, my appreciation and my joy on this occasion.